Welcome, guys. I don't. Words are going to be tough today to come up with, but I think there's optimism on the horizon. So we're going to get through all of it together, and we're going to do our best to wrap up this game in London. So let's get right into it. Sammy, start me up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Ladies and gentlemen, 94 yards. Touchdown, Titans. He is the baddest man in the NFL, and he just took her to the house.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast.
Sick!
It's gonna be sick.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. I am joined by my counterpart, Vinny Lombard. Vinny, I'll give you the floor. What are your thoughts? Gotta have a little bit of optimism. It's almost like to put it in a really morbid way, but it's like, a relative. I've actually experienced this recently, but just a relative that's like, you love, but it's just
It's time to let go.
It's time to let go, and I can't believe I used that analogy, but it's the reality of it. It's time. What do you think?
I mean, I had put that joke to rest, no pun intended. But I mean, you wanted to bring it back, But yeah, first, thank you and Jared for holding it down the other night. I was at the Phillies game. It was probably the coolest sporting event I've ever been to live in my life. Just overwhelming. I enjoyed every second of it. Let's go Phils. We're going to do the thing this year. They're the only positive team I have in my life right now because the Titans, although Sal says we have reason to be optimistic, it's cautious optimism, though. Very cautious because, Malik got in today. Tannehill got banged up. I think he should have been in. We shouldn't have even allowed Tannehill to get banged up. At start the second half, we should have went with Malik, in my opinion. And then we put him in there at the end, and he took, I don't know, what was it, Sal? 3-4 sacks. Obviously, you're not expecting much out of him at that point in the game, but, I mean, he can't take sacks like that. I know that much. But this team, it's just, it's the end of an era, I think, unfortunately. I mean, we're 2-4 heading into the bye. We have two young quarterbacks. We do have a pretty solid defense, but we have nothing to support it with offensively. You feel bad for guys like Henry who still have something left in the tank, but are stuck on this stagnant, putrid offense. Tim Kelly was not the answer. Some could argue that Todd Downing in certain ways might be even just a little better. I don't know, but it's like it's either way. You're a loser.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. It's sad. It's embarrassing. It's been going on a full, what's this, 3 years now? 2 years with Downing, and then this year where this offense just can't get humming. And it was such a fall off a cliff from our days with, Art Smith when we were first in the league in almost every offensive category for, I think, almost 2 years. And it's been rough since then. But like you said, the thing that we can look forward to now is, that we're going to see Malik Willis and what he has, and then maybe we'll see what Will Levis has. And if neither of them have it, well, I said it to my brother Sal, and you mentioned it. This team is going to be in a position to maybe get their guy this year, where it is a quarterback class that we were talking about Caleb Williams before. How about the guy that played Caleb Williams last night? I think Sam Hartman is calm, cool, collected. I have been on this kid's bandwagon since he was at Wake Forest. I like him a lot. But anyways, we'll get to that point when we cross. Yeah, I know, right? It's sad. It's sad is what it is. But guess what? I think the Tannehill days, I think it was his last snap as a starter. Yeah. You never know. They have this blind loyalty to him where if he gets healthy in 3 weeks and
no way,
I feel like they need a spark, they put him back in. But we should now see, to end this little rant of mine, Malik Willis, Will Levis, see what we have in both of them and take it from there. We have some talent on this team, but I hate to say it. I've alluded to it. I think after the Browns game and last week, we might have to start shopping around for guys like Henry, guys like Byard.
Oh, yeah.
See what we can get draft capital-wise. It's sad to say, and it's a tough pill to swallow. I watched your video, Sal, at halftime. It is a tough pill to swallow, but it's time to swallow it. Titans fans, Mike Vrabel, anyone in this Titans, world, we need to accept the fact that it's time to start over, maybe. And you could turn it around fast in this league. You can. The Bengals were shit, and then they got Joe Burrow, and then 2 AFC title games, a Super Bowl, almost won the Super Bowl. So you could turn it around fast, but it's time to get the wheels spinning on the process. And if you'll notice, this team deserves no turkey meat today. Jared's not on. This team didn't perform well. Usually when I wear this, I got it all hanging out. They didn't deserve that today. So we buttoned up, kept it classy because it'll come out when they deserve to see it. But today wasn't the day. And honestly, we thought we were dead. And then the Tannehill interception is what really took the juice out of it, that momentum, So all the more reason why it was almost fitting for him to just hang it up today.
Yeah.
We had a chance to come back and you ruined it, bro. Just like you've ruined it this year, last year, and the year prior into the Bengals game. And it's time to move on. Thank you for your service. Salvatore, you could have the floor.
Yeah, I want you to put up Sammy Christian's comment. First one, I think sums it up. 2-11 the last 13 games.
Yep.
And really the most egregious circumstances this week, leaving Ryan Tannehill in that game when the fucking kid couldn't even take a step. And he's just launching balls into the stands when we desperately needed a touchdown. And you allow him to stay in that game, throw away the drive. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. And I saw my dad in here saying, Malik's not the guy, and I get that. I get 100%. I get that nobody after that series of events looked awful. Absolutely awful.
Awful. He looked like worse than he did than when he started last year.
I get it. But the bottom line is the game was over. Game didn't matter at that point. He was trying to make something out of nothing, and he could be a disaster. And I already said it in the video I just put up. We're going to find out in 2 weeks if he's a disaster. And that's the good news about all this.
And good news is, no, go ahead. I'm sorry. No. I gave you the 4. No, I was going to say, if he is a disaster, I said it to my brother. I'm at his house today, thus the new background. If he has 2 bad starts in a row and he's a disaster and looks like this, they will give it to Levis quick.
Oh, of course.
If they have the opportunity to give him an 8 or 9 game sample size to really figure out if the guy that you traded, I think, 2 picks for, to essentially almost move back into the first round we get, that'd be best case scenario. Give him a 9-10 game sample size where you can fairly evaluate him. You know what I mean? And see what he has. And hopefully he's it, because if not, and you're really bad, you line yourself up for one of these potential studs to come out this year. Had to interject there. Sorry.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel, I'm sorry. I'm going to continue to repeat this. I did it last week. Accountability, man. This guy just continues to make so many poor decisions as a head coach. Who brought it up? Again, Dustin, another thing I was livid on the live about. Again, you don't go for it on 4th fucking down. You're in the red zone. You can't score. Every week you have trouble scoring. We know you can score field goals because Nick Folk is equated to all of your points this season. We know that can be done. What we can't get done is getting the ball in the end zone. And you need to try a lot harder to get in the end zone. And they're not trying hard enough. So I don't want to hear about the excuses for Tim Kelly. Tim Kelly is doing a horrible job. A horrible fucking job. Your job as an offensive coordinator is to get the football in the end zone. There's only so many weeks you can just continuously blame the staff. They're not executing well enough. Well, guess whose job is it to make sure these guys execute well enough? The coordinator. You saw what Tajay Spears can do with a quick fucking check down screen throw. How many times do they try that? Once. That's it. I didn't see them try them any other time during the game. Play action. The only thing that works for them. And they do it 5 times a game, 6 times a game. They call a play action pass. It's absurd. It's absurd.
No, I agree. And it's funny because Tim Kelly will give us 1 trick play a week. There's our boy, our counterpart, not in the middle of the Sal and Vinny sandwich this week, but
what's your percentage on Tannehill?
Yeah, let's throw that percentage out there. It better be at -7. Yes. It better be under 10%.
He's so drunk he can't even type it. He can't even type.
Yeah, it's over. And it's funny though. What I was going to say before Jared threw that comment up is Tim Kelly will give us 1 trick play a week, and it works sometimes. Last week it was the DeAndre pass to Henry. It didn't work out, but it was a good play. This week it was the end around with Henry. Zero.
Finally
How many
zero.
zeros is that? I think that's 6 zeros.
Finally zero. I wish
Yeah.
we had a graphic to put up, Sammy. Confetti
Yeah.
and fireworks.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm busting your balls, Jared. But there's just so many letdowns in this game. Defense, not good enough. Not good enough.
Not good enough, but guess what? Still, if we had somewhat competent quarterback play and play calling, and it could have been different. We could have stole a win. Not that it would have meant much, but like I don't want to blame the defense here. I don't. You can tell. I'm actually glad at the Simmons penalty and him getting in it with Odell. He's pissed off and he wants to win. Yeah, there's stupid penalties, but you could tell in the interviews the last few weeks he wants to win and he's fed up. And the defense did what they could today. I mean, they got a few sacks, they got the turnover, they kept us in the game for a certain period of time. But offensively, we can't support them, and it's time to move on, and we'll see what we got in 2 weeks in Malik. But it didn't look too promising today. But yeah, and the irony too. I love of us complaining about a kicker for years now, and now he's the best player on the team. He's got to be 14 for 14, 15 for 15. But yeah, there's no accountability. I'm curious to see what Vrabel says after this game
What he's gonna
tomorrow.
say.
Coach better, play better.
Yep.
There's still a part of me that's scared that he could put Tannehill in
No way.
2 weeks. If Malik looks real bad after the bye, they can. Who knows, pal? It wouldn't surprise me. But
Trust me, Vinny. Trust me, it's over. It's over.
I hope so. And you don't want to see him go out with an injury, but it's unfortunate, and we're thankful for.
I said it.
Yeah, you did say
it. I did
say
say
you
it.
said it. You said it's probably the only way. And but let's talk about some other things maybe that we can also see moving forward. We saw a change at the tackle position. Excuse me. This team's had me drinking. I think the first one was at 10:30 today for this London game. But we saw a move on the offensive line. We put in NPF over Dillard. And in my estimation, he looked a little better. I mean, there wasn't all that much more time to throw, but I think he made a couple of decent blocks. And it's also nice to see that we might have acknowledged the fact that Dillard was a bad signing in free agency. How do we feel about that? So
yeah, listen. Here's the one thing I'm going to bring up. I'm going to, for all the people who say I'm so pessimistic, I'm going to try to give you some optimism going into this matchup against the Falcons. So here's what I'm going to say, and I hope a lot of you watching are going to believe what I'm about to say. So, yes, again, I can't understate that that last series of events with Malik was horrible. Horrible. He could have stepped out of bounds. He didn't. I mean, the pocket didn't even exist, but that's besides the point. There was a million things he could have done to reduce the damage. But with all that being said, in 2 weeks, likely we're going to have an entire game with a guy who can evade sacks. We saw his ability to do that. We also saw him get sacked a bunch of times too, which can't happen moving forward. We all know this. But when you're getting a guy now that on a 3rd and 6, that when the pocket collapses, you can scramble, get the 7 yards, and continue a drive, that's going to add up. That's going to turn into points long term. It has to. There's no way around it. Because with the other guy, it was never equating to points because every time the pocket collapsed, drive was over. So, by default, we should be scoring more points just from his little bit of elusiveness or a lot of elusiveness that he has. So you got to give it one game. I'm not going to defend him. If he looks like he did on that last drive throughout a 60-minute football game, I'm going to be done. Absolutely done. If we're not seeing
1 week.
1 week, that's it. I mean, he's been in the league now. Okay, he's not a rookie. He's been in the league. He's been through practices. If he looks like he did in that last possession, in that last series throughout a 60-minute game, all is lost. It's never going to happen because that was just awful. But if we see him step up in the pocket, him evade some sacks, him make some throws on the run, and we score 27 points, 24 points, then you're going to know what this team is capable of. So all I'm asking everyone watching, give them one game. And I'm not going to be a Malik stan that just defends them and blames the pocket and blames the protection. I will not do that. Just give them one game. That's it.
I mean, this is what you wanted. Let's give him his chance, and we'll see what he looks like. And let me ask you this though: if he is atrocious, You throw Levis right in there. You revert back to Tannehill if he's healthy.
No, Tannehill's should never take another snap as a Titan again.
I'm just trying to bait you to see if you'll finally
wait,
admit that this coaching
listen.
staff might be stubborn enough to think if they can somehow eke out a win again after the bye against the Falcons, and he doesn't look all that great, and Tannehill's healthy, that at 3-4 maybe they would throw him back in there if they think they have a chance.
I was saying sarcastically in the chat that they were, or when I was on the live, is that they were leaving Tannehill in there because they were like officially on tank mode, and they didn't want anyone that could potentially progress this offense in the game. I mean, it was that egregious. Like he could not walk,
couldn't move,
and they were in the red zone with like a 1st and 10, and they got bailed out with a fucking penalty, and they just kept him in. They kept him in. His balls. Forget about only the receiver could catch. His balls only the people in the fucking stands could catch. I mean, that's how bad they were.
A few sections back too.
And I mean, Mike Vrabel needs to defend that. I don't understand. Really, I would rather have Derrick Henry throwing the ball into the corner of the end zone than Ryan Tannehill at that point in time. He was that fucking injured. So I'm so over the hill on Mike Vrabel now. I really am. I'm sorry, guys. Enough is enough. 11 out of 13. We just make excuses every fucking week for this guy. The injuries, the play callers, the offensive line, all things he has a hand in, by the way. All things he has a fucking hand in. We knew the offensive line was historically bad at the end of last year. And Jarrett, I love you to death. I said it when everyone and their mother was like, oh, yeah, we're definitely going to be better. Hold your horses. A lot of these guys don't have a lot of history of starting in the league. Let's hold our horses before we claim that this offensive line is going to be better. And sure enough, they're not playing that much better.
Yeah, they're bottom 10 unit right now, maybe bottom 5. It's pretty bad. Let me ask you this, though. Should Malik not look good, and then we throw Levis in there, and we're just struggling to keep it together, you'd be fully on board with taking phone calls in a couple weeks for guys like Henry, for guys like Byard, that you could fetch mid-round picks for, probably multiple of them, because you're not going to get a second anymore for Byard or Henry. Maybe, a third and a fourth, 2-4, something like that. Is that something that you'd be on board with? Should we look at the 7 or 8 game mark where we're 2-6? You know what I mean? Is that something you'd be on board with entertaining?
Forget entertaining. I'm fully on board at this current moment.
What if D-Hop asked for a trade? Do you try to move him?
No, I don't, because I think he likes being here, and I would like him.
$15 million a year.
He's making and I would like him part of.
Yeah, he's not the problem. He's been everything.
No, he's not the problem.
Not even close.
Not even close. I want him part of Malik or Will Levis's real rookie season. I want him part of it, and he deserves to be part of it. He's held up his end of the bargain so far this year. Here's the bottom line. I am willing and fully on board outside of Treylon Burks, in no particular order. Treylon Burks, Jeffrey Simmons,
Peter Skoronski.
Outside of them, Stonehouse, Nick Folk. Okay. Outside of them, I could give a fuck who they trade. I could give a fuck. Now, I'm going to say this as well. Derrick Henry is one of the greatest Titans to ever live. I love him to death. And 100%. It is not because I don't think he's worth being on the team anymore that I want to trade him.
No, it's because you're wasting him here.
You're wasting him, and there's so many holes that need to be filled. Guy's 30 years old. I understand. I want him to retire a Titan too, but we are on the fast track to nowhere right now. And he could be at least a small key to getting us back on the right track. So if you can get a 3rd round pick for him, go for it. Kevin Byard, I know you love him. He ain't a playmaker anymore. He's making way too much money. Find a trader. Find a suitor for him. Find a team that's, needs a little help in their back end. Okay? Danico Autry, I love you. Really, because we need to get better. Our offensive line is still dog shit. We still don't have enough fucking pass catchers.
Yeah.
It's time. Blow it up.
Yeah.
Do your best to keep the offensive line as good as you can. And listen, if you could start trading pieces to get that offensive line intact, so at least you're helping your guys stay upright.
Going forward, whatever it is,
go for it. That would make perfect sense. Start rebuilding that offensive line right now with Henry, with Byard, with Autry, with whoever, so that when you're starting that new kid, at least, if nothing else, we're in the right direction. We're in the right direction protecting him, because right now we can't protect fucking anyone.
No.
So,
yeah, I mean, you build a team inside out, and I'm with you 100%. It's sad, but you alluded to it in your halftime rant. It's time to swallow the pill, and you could turn around fast in this league, and I still think we have some cornerstone pieces, such as Simmons, such as Skoronski. We'll see what Burks has. I don't know. I'm getting frustrated with him as well, but I agree with you. There's a handful of players you think you can build around. Let's, blow it up. And listen, if Vrabel wants to go to, as much as this would be a tough pill to swallow, if Vrabel went to Rand and said, I don't want to be part of this rebuild. I respect what you're doing. I want to go, let me go find a job where I could try to coach a team that's ready to win now. It'd be tough to see, but I would completely understand and respect the move on both sides.
Nah, I would never do that.
No, I agree, and I think he'll get another year. But there's a part of me that thinks Vrabel's. I don't know if he has the patience. If he's that kind of guy who can go through a really shitty year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. I mean, he's been here. This is his 6th or 7th year.
Yeah,
this will be the 3rd year. He's probably going to miss the playoffs.
And guys, this talk about Burks got to go too. You just you invested a 1st-round pick in him. You technically invested AJ Brown into him. Yeah. You can't throw in the towel.
If he's going to be a bust, you're going to see this contract out to the end of it, because you paid him all his money.
First of all, you're not getting anything for him right now.
No.
And whatever, if by the grace of God you did get something for him, it wouldn't be worth the value. Okay, he's a 1st-round pick. He hasn't even played a full 17-game season yet. He's played 14 games. I'm sorry. I see the potential. I see his athleticism and his potential at a pass catcher. I know he's got some drops. I know he's got some health problems. So you can't trade him. You can't get rid of him. He needs to be a guy you attempt to build around. He's still a young kid. He's got all the potential in the world. Super good size. I mean, it just makes no sense. Makes no sense to get rid of Burks. Outside of them, I don't care. If Vrabel can go, Tim Kelly can go, everyone can go. I don't. I mean, guys, 11 and 13, man. I mean, this is just
2 and 11. 2 and 11. You said 11 and 13. Sorry,
11.
13.
Well, I'm saying at 11 out of 13. 11 out of the last 13.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 2 wins to hang our hats on, and they're man. It's bad.
I know it's sad and it's frustrating, and it's not like we didn't see this coming, though. I mean, you and I have been done with Tannehill for a while now. But it took, and listen, I think it was I'll even give you your flowers on that. I think you said it'd be after the bye week, where Malik came out. If we were 2 and 4, in the Oiler uniform, hopefully that crowd is ready, and we'll see what we have going forward with one of these 2 guys. But it's frustrating. It's annoying. What?
It's funny. I actually slipped, because when I brought that up last week on the show, when I was like, I'm going to set the scene for you, I actually said Will Levis.
Did you?
I said Will Levis is going to come
Freudian flip, maybe?
I don't know, but it would be ironic that if it was him, it'd be a nice little clip that Sammy can make, because I did say I'm going to set the scene for you, and he's going to be in that fucking Oiler uniform with pads on. That's a guarantee. So, whether he's going to be the starter or not, that remains to be seen. But boy, wouldn't it be a whirlwind to get Malik Willis that start? And then he shits the motherfucking bed, and we stay close in that game, and they make the switch at halftime, and then Levis comes in and wins that game. That would be a fun story to talk about. But like you said, Ross, that you gotta let him have a week. You can't just say he's done dead in the water because of a game that was just a throwaway game that he was just trying to make something out of nothing. You can't.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I honestly don't have much more to say on the matter. We're going to see what we got going forward. There's always some bright spots with this team, which is frustrating because we do have talent. Our defense kept us in it, but this team can't compete in the long run right now with the top teams in the AFC. Not even close. Not even close.
Yeah, and you could see them doing that too. Titan South brings up a point about having maybe the two of them, going in and out. Like I think Miami did that a few years back, where they had a couple guys that were swapping in and
It's
out.
not
I
how you
wouldn't,
got a player getting a flow though.
yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
No,
But
no.
I did see Hopkins get up, and when Phillips tried to sit down, that was the
Yeah.
pivotal point of the game too. You can point at, we're going in there to tie the game if he doesn't muff that punt. But there's so many other things that went wrong before that, so I can't fault that really as the big focal point. But I can understand bringing it up. People talking about Shedeur Sanders in 2024. Man, I don't know, man. He puts up so many fucking incredible numbers, but I don't know.
I don't know. He might be coming back. He might be coming out this year, to be honest with you.
He might.
One step at a time. I mean, listen,
If he's throwing 500 yards a game, he's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, if he could be a top 10 pick, I mean, I know he probably wants to play for his father and maybe, put together a nice run there. But if you're looking at, 20,
he's a money
30,
man.
Yeah, 30 million in that top 10.
Yeah. I mean, he's on pace for like 4,000 yards and like 30 touchdowns. So
gaudy numbers. And I saw someone say something about Jeff Simmons. I'm not blaming Jeff Simmons. I mean, Jeff Simmons, no one's really, blowing us out of the water right now.
No, but he has a point, man. What have you done for me lately?
He's 5 games into this contract. I'm not, he's a cornerstone on this team. He's a top 5 defensive tackle. If you don't want to give him top 3, leave Jeff Simmons alone. He's the least of this team.
I'm not gonna bash Jeff Simmons. I've been on record saying he's one of the few people that really I think has shown up and has and PFF.
And that penalty was out of frustration because he's frustrated with what's going on. I mean, listen, he was part of a winning team from the jump. He came in and started playing at the end of the year when we went to the title game. He hasn't had really losing seasons that were bad, probably in 4 or 5 years now, as long as he's been with us. So
yeah,
I understand the frustration. And listen, no one's really, earning their pay out there. It seems. Where's Byard? I know he's making $12 million a year. I think he took a little pay cut, but he hasn't made a play. Murphy Bunting looks like maybe our best, cornerback.
Yeah, it was a great pick.
Now.
It was a great pick.
But like there's really nothing to brag about on this team besides Nick Folk, which I love the irony of us bitching about not having a kicker for especially me 2 years now, and now he's the best player on the team. I mean, it's just the irony of it cracks me up because.
And how about the irony of when we were sitting on the couch, and if you remember correctly what I said, as of now, Rand Carthon's best selection as a general manager was that Nick Folk trade.
Probably, 7th round pick for him.
Because let's just be honest, guys, and I it's nice to be right about things sometimes, but I'm not happy about being right about things sometimes. Let's just be honest. At the moment, Arden Key, Al Jair, they're not. You like to joke about this phrase I use, but it's the truth. They're not moving the needle. They're not. So that was a part of this defense that I was sold on, that is going to bring another dimension to it, and this, that, and the other thing. And we're not getting we're not getting pressure. So somebody's at fault.
I'm not ready to give up on that group. I think there has been games. If they've played 6 games now, 3 of them they've looked solid. I would say Jair was all over the field in a few games. Arden Key has looked good in spots, but Sal, this whole team, top to bottom, has looked sketchy at times. So I'm not ready to blame. Yeah, you're probably right. Folk is probably his best move right now, but I think Arden Key and Al Jair can be players for this team. But yeah, Folk has been the best move he's made so far, probably aside from signing D-Hop. But
and I'm only bringing that up because, I'm just trying to defend why I was so cautious going into the year. And I know the real, people that have brains and are logical people, aren't annoyed about how upset I've been over the last multiple years, and they probably feel the same way. But there was a reason why I wasn't, doing backflips over these off-season acquisitions by Rand Carthon, because it was just, there was nothing that wowed me. Obviously, I know Arden Key had a good track record with the Jags, but not a lot of experience in a lot of these players that were picked, and we're kind of seeing that now. So
I think he wanted to keep this team afloat with his free agency moves.
Well, they're not. They're not afloat right now.
No, they're not. But listen, I mean, his job coming in here, he got dealt a pretty, awkward hand at first. A porous offensive line, a defense that had holes all over, an aging quarterback. And I think Vrabel and Miss Amy convinced him that if he could patch it up a little bit, we can win the division this year and hopefully see what we have in our quarterbacks, our young quarterbacks next year.
I know, but Vin,
it hasn't been the case. And listen, I'm not as much as I'm not. I agree with you in a certain aspect. I want to see a bigger sample size.
Yeah, no, I'm not ready to throw in the towel on him.
2-3 full off seasons to mold a roster the way he thinks he can and see what it looks like.
Yeah, listen, I'm not trying to throw the towel on Rand Carthon by any stretch of the imagination, but we just got to call it like it is.
He tried to team, yeah.
Yeah, well, he tried. He made an attempt to improve this offensive line, and it's been an epic disaster so far.
Yeah,
really, honestly,
good.
Skoronsky was like pretty much like a can't miss pick.
Yeah,
from what everyone said.
He was, but Brunskill's been okay. If you look at his stats, as has Hubbard, has looked good at times. But yeah, I mean, your left tackle
consistency though, dude. You know that.
Yeah, 100%. But I'm with you. It's frustrating as a whole. I mean, listen, we've teetered from talking about the quarterback to Vrabel to the GM to Tim Kelly. So clearly, we're upset when it comes to a lot of different aspects of this team. But it's the story of our lives with this team, really.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like, we could lose to Atlanta, and realistically, the season's not gonna be over because we've had one division game.
Yeah,
and we're gonna have one division game after.
If the Jags lose, if the Colts lose, we're really only a game back in that division. But I mean, listen, then let's hope one of these young kids is a real spark, just like Tannehill was a real spark. We benched Mariota and we had no expectations. I'd love nothing more than one of these kids to run away with the job and us to contend for the division this year. Yeah. We'll see. But
I'm not and team leader. I am not concentrating on the draft. Not yet. No. And it would be silly to do so because we have two quarterbacks that are technically, have something to prove. Again, yep. I'm just asking you guys, do me this one favor if you can. Please, just for one game, erase those last couple possessions by Malik before going into this game. We got 2 weeks. Go into it with an open mind. We're going to have 2 weeks to prepare for an average Atlanta team. Doesn't mean Atlanta can't whoop our ass because any team's capable of whooping our ass. But on paper,
to come here and do it too. You know that.
Yeah. And so, but on paper, Atlanta's an average team. So whoever that quarterback's going to be could very well be Levis. Crazier things have happened. We got to see. We got 2 weeks of practice to go through. If one guy outshines the other, I don't foresee them having any issues making the switch.
Yeah, there's no loyalty towards Malik in this situation. The leash will be short.
Yeah, it's basically just a totem pole thing at this point. So, just give him one game, and if he looks like that at the end of that game, I'll be off him. I'll be off him for good. He's had enough. He has had enough opportunities, and I'm saying he's got to look like he did in that last possession. If he comes out and he throws, let's say he throws the ball 25 times, he's 18 for 25, 230 and a touchdown, then it's time to build around him. But if he looks like he did on this last possession, lost, IQ of a 3-year-old, no progressions, getting sacked every other play. That's it. And I won't be back on. I promise everyone here, mark my words, that'll be the end of it. So we'll see how things go.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We got a bye week. I think it's a much needed bye week. Let's collect ourselves, regroup, take a deep breath. For those of you who've seen Bad Boys 2, woosah. We have gotten past the hard part. Tannehill's time as a Titan is over. It seems. Thankful for what you did. 17 exciting times with you. Kept this franchise afloat when we were kind of lost for hope at that point. Thank you. But let's see what we have. It's not fair. We don't have our boy on here, Jared, to really.
Without Derrick Henry, he's never getting that contract. But that's besides the point.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll talk about it a little more when Jared's back, so he can go through a proper goodbye to his boy. But as Sal alluded to earlier, let's let sleeping dogs lie. Tannehill's time here is over. Let's see what these young kids got. Other than that, go Phils, Sal.
Yeah, I wish we could have snuck this game out because the door was open and it would have been such a good
Yeah, but
fight.
Sal, then what? Well,
What do you mean? He's hurt. He's done. He's out. Wouldn't
yeah, I
matter.
know, but if we had won the game, I mean, and that doesn't happen, then we're 3-3 with him coming back after the bye.
No. I'm saying if they
would've-
made the fucking switch when they were supposed to, when his ankle got crushed and we came back and won the goddamn game, we were down by fucking 4
Yeah,
when he got hurt, and we could have went into this bye week with a big time win in London. It would have made everything a lot more easy to deal with, and our fan base would have been a lot more, at ease. But it didn't happen that way. Now we got to deal with all that bullshit that comes with it. So we're gonna wrap up for today's show. We'll get Jarrett back in the mix on Monday. We'll have the show on Tuesday. Listen, guys, the future's on the horizon. So let's just be thankful for that. We're gonna get some answers. Maybe not from Mike Vrabel, but from these players. We're gonna get answers. And it looks like Malik Willis is going to be the first person to give us the answer we're looking for. Whether that be good or bad, we'll find out. But anything else you want to add before we wrap up, Vin?
No. I mean, go Phils. Shout out those Phils. Hardest place to play in professional baseball. Let's hope Nissan Stadium gets up like that for their boy Malik, because he's going to need all the help he can get. Because tell you what, if he came in even after Tannehill looked bad the way he played that game, he might have just laid down, took a couple more sacks. But we'll see what it looks like in 2 weeks. Tighten up, go Phils.
Nope. Apparently, Vrabel walked off on the media. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, of course he did.
Yeah, and that's just
yeah. He's smarter than everybody. He doesn't need to talk to the media.
Unacceptable. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the flip. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their weekend. Sammy, send me out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.